I don't know if you feel the same, but as we talk more about UX UI design and we have this rising obsession of making every pixel perfect, I feel that products are starting to look a little bit boring. I open Mobbin or Dribble, and honestly, at a glance, I can't really tell the industry or the company behind those interfaces. And I personally believe that that can become a little problematic because if the experience is being very similar and visually you can't really differentiate those products, what's going to make the user choose yours? And don't get me wrong, I'm always down for a minimalistic and straightforward interface. And I'm truly happy to see how designers are leveling up their game. But I think that something is lacking, and that's something is personality. Because the minimalistic user interface design was something that would make a product stand out from the crowd a couple of years back. But things have changed. Well, so in order for us to add personality to the product as we are designing the interfaces, it's not about only putting together a pack of visual assets that we can use or change the color palette. It's about truly understanding the brand, what the brand wants to communicate, and also understanding more than anything else your user. So I'm not here to give you the answers, but I'm here to propose 3 reflections, 3 discussions that they should definitely take place during your design process. The first one is context matters. So it's important for you to understand the industry of the product you're designing, when it's going to be used, by whom, and why. Because each of these contexts, they require a different visual language. For example, if you're designing for the government, that's one direction that you're gonna go. If you're designing for the finance industry and fintech, that's going to be a whole other world. Or let's say you're designing the app for a toy store. That's a third completely different context. But context alone is not going to do the trick. We see lots of financial institutions nowadays that visually they appear the same. And although you understand the context, it's still hard for you to stand out if all the other products they look the same. Or if we think about AI, most of the brands, they're probably going to be using purple or pink with the sparkle emoji. And I mean, although it can be very good for the user to take a quick look and tell right away what type of product that is in the industry, there are 2 other steps that we need to cover. The second one is for you to dive deeper into your user. So think about what matters to them and also what brings delight to them in the experience that they're having with you. An example that I want to bring is Asana. By conducting user research, they were able to find out that their user is really happy whenever they complete a task. It was this amazing feeling of accomplishment that made them want to provide a unique experience whenever they check something off their to-do list, which resulted in that unicorn being shown whenever you check something. I found an article with details about this user case for you to read later. So head to the description so you can find the link. And the third thing in the process of crafting products with personality is for us to get out of our own heads. So as we talk more and more about the user experience, how we can make a straightforward flow, and etc. It's a good exercise for you to also think outside of these original constraints and see what's going to pop up. Of course, not all the ideas you're going to have are going to be technically feasible, and sometimes we don't come up with the best ideas right away. But it's important that us as designers, while we prioritize the user experience and also making sure that contrast, accessibility standards, and all of that jazz is being met, we also allow ourselves to think outside of the box. Earlier this week, I was watching a video by Matt from Shift Nudge on him walking us through a redesign that he was making on the Crayola app. And it was really interesting to see how he allowed himself to explore a few things. For example, oh, maybe as we're doing something fun and for children, what if the button had some angulation? And as I mentioned, those things you're going to take to the engineers, you're going to test with the users to see if that's something easy to build, if it's worth the effort, if it's good for the user. But it's something that it's not very often that we think of things like this. I'll leave this video in the description too, so you can have a look if you want. And as we go towards the end, there are a couple of brands that I wanted to share that make an amazing work when it comes to express their personality visually. So as I brought the fintech world example before, my favorite one in this landscape is Robinhood, because although their visual identity is not so edgy anymore, we sort of like see brands in finance wanting to be cool and Web3 and etc. It's not just their color palette or a couple of visual elements that do the trick. They have a distinctive color palette, check. They have noise, textures. They have a very specific illustration style. They're very effective on their copy. So in my eyes, they continue to stand out, even if the industry follows their lead. And the second one is ConvertKit, which is an email marketing solution for creators. So considering their target audience, I see that they bring visual elements like doodles and other things that really give this crafty aspects to their visual identity, and that's present across their website and social media. I'll leave the links to both of these brands in the description. And before you go, I recommend a talk from Config 2023, in which they talk about delight and how you can bring delight to your products, which I believe has everything to do with what we've just discussed. If you like this video, don't forget to hit the like button, to subscribe if you're new here. I'll catch you in the next one. Happy designing!